These type of questions. Majority of your time goes for this discussion, conversation. Fine. So still there is enough time. Fine. So it is your attitude that is very important for this exam. So if you see, there is the knowledge is so infinite that the entire life is not enough. Fine. So no time is enough, but you have to yourself decide that I have to prepare this thing in this time frame. There is one law in public administration that says more time our work expands. Fine. So we start doing many unnecessary things also. Less is the time. You will be able to use it more wisely. If you have more, there is a law of diminishing returns also. Fine. You stop valuing the time, you do unnecessary things. So right now also, first of all take out, because most of the students I met, their one concern is how will I manage, this is very limited time. Fine. So at least by crying and thinking in that way, you are not going to manage. Ultimately you will have to work, and 2.5 hour class is not going to make any difference in your performance. If after class also you are in a position to give 6 to 8 hours of your quality study, if you do unnecessary things, gossip, WhatsApp, because in your study time, WhatsApp time is also included. So, first of all, keep this thing out of the mind. There are examples of the students who joined class in June, gave exam in the October, got 14th rank to 40th rank. Fine. So those who are performers, this exam is for performers. They can perform in any situation, and performance will always be a comparative performance. There is no end to limit. There is no limit to your knowledge, etc. But this exam is not knowledgeable exam. It does not test at all your knowledge. It only tests your personality, your attitude as an officer. Why there is a unpredictability in exam? Because as an officer in the field, things will be unpredictable. No amount of training will be enough. On the basis of your training, you will have to apply your mind and accomplish the task. Same is there in exam also. A person may be doing infinite research but will not be able to clear prelims if he does not have a strategy, and if he has not understood the technique of prelims, if you have not understood the nature of the exam itself. So it is all about attitude. You should have an attitude that whatever comes in my path, whatever more resources, less resources, whatever, I have to do it, I will do it. Fine. So unnecessary things which have no relevance, it is useless to discuss about that. So I cannot I can't say that 2.5 hour class is going to impact your prelims preparation. Your unnecessary thinking and unsystematic way of doing things will hamper your preparation. And definitely political science, you don't need to do anything beyond the class. If you start doing anything beyond the class, then it will become detrimental. You have to be very practical in your exam. Only those who are practical people clear this exam. If you start studying lot of books, etc., you will never be able to manage. Fine? Two things you have to understand. What skills you you have to develop for the exam in general and political science in particular. First skill is analytical skill. शिवम पहले तो ठीक था, स्पीकर को साउंड बढ़ाया तो और be an active learner, right? Participate in whatever is being taught. Political science, the method of political science is dialectics. Dialectics is a dialogue. The method of political science is debate, discussions, your involvement. Why democracy is good? Why democracy is bad? Why not centralized administration? Why you need decentralization? Many answers you can get from your mind also. Fine. And don't study social science like natural science. Fine. Because there are no fixed terms in social sciences. This is humanities. It is very subjective. A particular term, let's say liberty, the meaning will change in the context. The meaning will change if you think Gandhi talking about liberty or Karl Marx talking about liberty. Fine. So students who are used to that approach, that 2 plus 2 makes only 4, they get puzzled because words are very contextual. Fine. So in political science, it may be 2 plus 2 is 6, and you may have to prove also how it is 6. Fine. So politicians, you know, they can promise anything. They can promise that by 2020 there will be Swachh Bharat. Okay. And they have to speak in this way that you believe and you vote. Doesn't mean that there has to be Swachh Bharat. Fine. So the only thing is, any hypothetical ideas, you should have ability to convince the other person. So communication skill you need to develop. What you think, how you can express it on paper. Fine. And communication skill requires very simple. It's not that you don't think you have to write for your answers for university professors. Simpler it is, better it is. More simple answer, simple sentences, simple language, that itself shows the clarity of your ideas. So, if you see, the word limit in UPSC answers from maximum 150 to 250, not beyond that. So, you have to grasp what? The basic concept. What exactly is the basic concept? The understanding of the terminology. Second feature of the papers is their dynamism. So you are expected in all your GS papers also, as well as second papers of every optional, to keep track of contemporary development. So rather than running after books, I read from this book, that book, more time if you give to newspaper, that will be more productive. And again, not many paper, any one paper that you like is enough. Fine. So keep things simple when they are simple. Don't make it unnecessarily complicated. And try to, active learner, try to relate the things. These things are happening around. They are not some jargons or some abstract ideas just only in the books and not affecting you. Whatever we study in political science, it is happening around you. You start observing, you start feeling all these things, you start relating, you start analyzing things, you start right and wrong, why and why not. So besides class, what is needed is your active participation, your active involvement. Active involvement does not mean you keep on asking any vague questions. Active involvement means you should be attentive to understand the lecture, and the subject is such where it is very important to maintain the continuity, because one thinker will start with Plato, next thinker has done criticism of Plato. Fine? So it is a story. One is linked with the other. So suppose you miss one, it becomes difficult later on to be able to grasp to the extent that was needed. So preferably try not to miss the classes. Maintain the continuity. Do only oral revision. Suppose I discussed, Plato said this. Go for mental revision. There is no need to open the book also. Where you forget, just see that. Fine? And in political science answers, what is needed is you should know the key concepts. Your answer should have concepts. Fine? There are some prominent commentators or analysts or specialists know that some statements, quotes. So students, they go for using different pens. Suppose the concepts, they use one color pen. So if you have to revise, you can see only these are the concepts. You can use different pen for writing quotes, different pen for book, what you want to remember and see, you can see. So think, and at the max, if you want, you can make keynotes of my notes. Fine? What keynotes should contain? The key terminologies, key statements, prominent names. That's all is political science. You can do it now. If you think that is becoming too much, you can do after your prelims exam when you go for preparation of mains. And there is no need that you start answer writing of political science now. The reason is political science as a subject or is like very interrelated. So it's not enough when to write an answer on Plato to know Plato. Right? There may be criticism of Plato by Marx. There may be criticism of Plato by Foucault. Right? So once you get a holistic picture, then only you can write answer. So if you want, you practice your GS answer writing. No need to practice political science answer because it's not possible. And the topics are such, like thought has a link with theory. Theory, same repetition, ideology topic, some information from ideology topic will be required in theory of state. Fine. So first is very important thing is have patience, because majority of you are maybe from science background, and then don't think that you have any disadvantage over the persons who are from political science background. Right? How many political science background students? Okay, this much only. Rest. So those who have political science background, they are not going. It's not that they are going to have any edge, because in universities I don't see any attempt is made for any conceptual clarity. So at least those who do not have a background, they are not confused. Fine, because undoing takes a lot of time. So think that you are blessed, that there is no background from any of the university. Fine. So your mind is like a clean slate, easy to absorb. Fine. So don't have this view and you will start from the very basics. And the only thing is keep on understanding the things. The entire focus should be on developing your logical bent of mind. Political theory is all about logic. Fine. Understand it logically. Okay. So I will start with first paper, Western Political Thought. First paper I will start. I will first from there we build the foundation of the subject. So we will start with political theory, section paper 1, section 2. And you will find huge overlap overlapping in all the topics. Fine. For any political theory or from where a person should start, you should start with Western political thought. You can just write the sequence. There is no need to follow the sequence which is given in the exam in the syllabus. Fine, but you have to go by a particular sequence. I am telling you the sequence. First, we will do Western political thought because that is a base. And the best thing is if you can have a look of previous year questions. Don't go for previous year questions before 2008. The present syllabus of the optional was changed in 2008. Earlier there were many thinkers which are not in syllabus now. So from 2008 onwards, look for previous year questions. And if questions you know, in the class you can understand where I have to pay attention. Otherwise you will be like moving in dark. So at least do this exercise. It will be very good if you can write previous year questions in your notebook. Fine. So keep track of previous year questions to understand which topic to be studied in what manner. Fine. Now thoughts. Good, just understand. In thought, what type of questions come? Two type of questions. Either on some basic concept or some statements. Fine. So when we will study thought, lot of terminology will come. This terminology will make the basic vocabulary of political science. Fine. And then we will be discussing the statements. So there is more to understand. Don't go for remembering, trying to remember. That is not needed because our memory is short. So remembering, learning, these things should be the part of your preparation strategy after prelims. Before prelims, just focus on understanding. It is also not important who said, but what said. What is the idea? Is this idea relevant or not? Thinker is secondary. Fine. So once you get a control on idea, it is very easy. And the only thing is familiarity. You have to gradually develop the familiarity from a different type of a learning. World of science, you are coming to the world of philosophy. Fine. So maybe initially 5-6 days you may be thinking what is happening, but later on you will start enjoying that. It's a very, very interesting subject. Right? So you will start enjoying that subject. Any other general question you have? No question? Okay. So now again, rest of the time you give for your GS, you give for your prelims. 2.5 hours, I don't say when go and revise, not needed. Because after prelims we do the test. So when I take test series, I take classes and we do number of hypothetical questions. So for one particular topic, the amount of questions that we will practice, you automatically will learn how to write. Right? So keep those things away. Start from the basics. Yes? Yes. So any question? Yeah? Any previous year book, you can have Vishal's book, any book. I think Vishal publication is fine. Right? So now I'll tell you how the syllabus of paper 1 section A is organized. Fine. So first topic is Western political thought. And in UPSC exam, they always ask one question from either of the ancient Greek thinker, either from Plato or Aristotle. Fine. And from thought itself, you will get at least 3-4 questions. Fine. So What are important thinkers of where UPSC has been focusing? Greek thinkers, next Hobbes and Karl Marx. Very important, these are both Hobbes and Marx. Now, for thought, the class discussion is most important. Notes are secondary, right? And this is very concept based, so you should be very attentive, and it is based on logic. So try to understand the logic and relate with your day-to-day life, right? So for thought, in case you want to refer any book, keep this one book maximum. You can keep this book by Subrata Mukherjee and Sushila Ramaswamy. But I am sure nobody reads it. Okay, so just don't go and buy. In case it is you really need, then tell your friend to buy, borrow, learn the technique, and then you really think, okay, I can read, then go for it. Next topic is that should be done, ideologies. In ideologies for exam, feminism is most important. No UPSC paper without women. Feminism. Now you should also know that you are keeping track of contemporary developments, Me Too movement, this, that movement. Fine. So sometimes you can start even the answer of theory with any contemporary developments which are happening around from India, from USA, anywhere. Right? So in theory answer, bring current developments. In answers which are current oriented, bring theory. Go for integration. Go for networking. Fine? Next very important ideology for exam is fascism. We will study all but these two, especially for mains. Now from rest of the topic, ideology and all, the only book that is enough is Political Theory by O.P. Gauba. Now when you will study ideology, on the topic of ideology is built the theory of states. So next topic should be theory of states. You will see the repetition. Right? Now in theory of state or exam, Marxist theory. Next, post-colonial theory. Now on theory of state is based theory of power. For exams point of view, in theory of power, three thinkers are very important. First, Ramsey. Second, Hannah Arendt. They are as a thought in thought also. Right? So again, lot of repetition is Hannah Arendt and Foucault. Foucault's theory of power. Now, on theory of power is based theory of democracy. In theory of democracy, for mains you should always prepare participative and deliberative. Participative and deliberative. So some answers you can have ready-made answers. According to the question you change the framework. Otherwise the key concepts discussed etc. will remain same. Some of the students they already prepared the introduction and conclusions. Conclusions, or you can say the end line. Conclusion may be according to the question, but in the end you can give a quote in the end, or you can decide what is question on democracy come. I will start with the quote of Gandhi. Right? Like Ankit Panmudi used to have, he has already prepared introduction of all answers. India, China, if it comes, before there is no need to waste time. This is the quote, this is the line, any answer which I will start. Fine? So have that smart then, have some sort of smart preparation. Right? Now, after democracy is your theory of theory of human rights. None of the topics you can leave because number of questions are increasing. So, in human rights, actually, the entire theory of human rights is about two persons. One woman, okay, but don't write. Women rights will already cover in feminism. Second, the burning area is the right of minorities. Right? So, in the right of minorities, in terms of theory, we study about multiculturalism, multicultural perspective on rights. Fine. Now, on rights is based theory of justice. There will always be a question on theory of justice. Theory of justice is also the basic of your ethics paper. Right? So when you will study political thought, you can utilize this knowledge in your paper 4. Political science students have a lot of advantage in paper 4. They don't need to prepare separately. And I keep on telling that these statements can be utilized in this situation. Suppose there is a some case study related to corruption, etc. Right? So you can start that case. There is a very famous statement of J.S. Mill that it is better to be a man dissatisfied than a pig satisfied. Right? So this is how those who got good ranks, citation and all, they have added these materials even in their general studies answers. You should know how the information from GS papers use here, information here use in GS answer, so that your answer look somewhat special and different. Right? Now next, on justice is based the theory of equality. Okay, so this too we have, it is just a duplication of that topic. The entire thing is now, in the end, nature and scope of political science. Always a compulsory question because this is from methodology. In nature and scope of political science, we study the utility of the discipline, the methodology of the discipline. So always you can see a question on behavioralism and post-behavioralism. writing not more than 15 topics, prepare 15 question answers, done it. Okay, let's just understand. Okay, these are like key areas where there will be no political science paper without all these areas, touching these areas. Fine. So that's all. When I start the other section, that time we will discuss which section, like which are the areas and how to handle. Fine. So now we will start with Western political thought. So now we should be knowing the meaning of each and every word very clearly. Why Western has to be added. Okay, so Western has to be added to show that there is a big difference in the thinking in the East and West. So when you know Western thinking, you know Indian thinking, you can go for comparisons. Fine. So objective should be that every word that we know, we use, we should know the meaning of that word. Fine. So there should have been a question: why the term thought? Why not theory? Why we do not call it Western political philosophy? Fine. Why only the word thought is used? Fine. So now you just write one thing. What does thought denote? Right. Thought denotes thinking of an age. Right. Thus, we try to understand any idea in context of time and space. Time means which time? Is it ancient time, modern times, medieval time, postmodern time? Space. Is it Western? It is Indian. Right? So when we are studying these thinkers, we are going to understand the political thinking of a particular time. When you study Hobbes, the political thinking of 17th century Britain. When you study Rousseau, the political thinking of maybe the 18th century France. Fine. So we are trying to understand the broad way of political life or political thinking. Fine. So now, right, what is the difference in theory and thought? Right? Like any other discipline, political theory aims at explanation of political phenomena. key word in theory is explanation. Thought we have already written. That thought is understanding thing with reference to time and space. Fine. Now you write what is the difference in political theory and political philosophy. So purpose of theory is what? Explanation. Now in political science, there are two types of theories. Right? Some are philosophical theories and some are scientific theories. Right? So when we use the term political philosophy, we use the term for philosophical theory. Fine? You understood this? What is political philosophy? Philosophical theory is political philosophy. Fine? This you have written. Next, there is a scientific method also. Theories are produced by scientific method. Scientific theories are based on facts, based on field studies. Fine? So the theories produced by using scientific method will be scientific theories. Fine? You can write that. The theories made by using scientific method are scientific theories. Next, right? Next paragraph. Right? Political science as a discipline is started as a part of philosophy. It was a branch of philosophy only. Fine? Right? Hence, dominated by philosophical theories. Right, next. Right, since political science deals with humans, comma, it is difficult to make scientific theories like in natural sciences. Right. Hence, very few scientific theories. Next, to write what is the nature of the discipline? Right, essentially philosophical. Philosophical. nature of the discipline is philosophical, not scientific. Right? So philosophy dominates the discipline. So now are you clear with the term philosophy, science and thought? Even if you are not clear, it's okay. But just understand what are we going to study? Thought, understanding things or a thinking of an age. Fine? Now there is a word political. What does the word political denotes? Are we going to study economic thought, geographical thought, political thought? So political thought will be about what? State. Fine? So it is said that political science don't write, I'll tell you. Political science begins and ends with the state. So in political science, actually what are you going to learn? The theories of governance. How to govern the people. The theories of good governance. Fine? You understood this? So now write. What does the term political science denote? Right? It is said that political science begins and ends with the state. Right? Hence, political thought or political theories are about the study of state or governance. Now, political science is a discipline meant for whom? Who should study political science? Who should study political science? Administrator. Okay? And you want good ranks in good places. You need political science. So political science, you know who is father of political science? Aristotle. Aristotle said political science is a master science. You study political science, you will become master of all. Political science is a subject meant for those who want to become the science of masters. You want to become prince? No? Who is a collector? Not. Collector is not a modern prince. लोग आए क्या करने आए? To become prince. Fine? Political science is a science to be learned by the masters. And once you know politics, you can master anything. Fine? So what you need in India again, you need not to work, but you need to know, even in your department, how to do politics. So learn politics. Politics will make you master. The science of masters. Okay. It is not everybody's cup of tea. Fine? So those who have a characteristic of a prince, they can only learn political science. And what are the characteristics of a prince? What makes you prince? Authority makes you prince? No. Authority you get when you become a prince. What characteristics? To sell hypothetical ideas. To characteristics of a prince. According to Machiavelli, the author of Prince, you have to be clever, like fox, and you have to be brave, like lion. Means you should have courage, and you should have cleverness. Right? You need not to learn more, but you should be clever enough to know less but utilize it more. Okay. So from today, start developing these two attributes: brave, courage. Okay. Don't fear. Don't have insecurity. No fear. Develop the attitude of a prince. Don't become prince. Fine. So political science is a science for masters and rightly known as master science. Fine. So now let us see. I said political science is about a state. So what is a state? Right now, what is a state? A state is a unit of governance. A state's function is what? Governance. So state is a institution of governance. The state represent authority. Right? State represent authority. Now, what is authority? Right now, what is authority? Right? Authority is a power. What will you get when you become this? Power. And what will be the source of that power? Law. Okay? So authority is a legitimate power. That exercise of power, it is considered right. Fine? So when you join the administration, what you get? Power. What are the forms of power? Which power is most concrete? Economic. As an administrator, you will get which power ultimately? Economic power. The most concrete form of power in the world of matter. Ultimately, what matters is economic. Is Trump clever like Fox?
Yes.
Yes, he is clever. Is Xi Jinping clever like Fox?
Yes.
No. Modi clever like Fox? In international, is he matched to the leaders like Trump and Xi Jinping?
No, I don't.
He may be clever like Fox in domestic, but there are more clever foxes, okay, in international sphere. So international relations is more challenging than domestic. Right? So anyway, what is actually state? A state represents authority, power. So how Aristotle described the state? Right? He described the state as a self-sufficient entity. Right? Thus, the idea of a state is self-sufficiency. Because so long you are not self-sufficient, you will dependent on somebody else. When you are dependent on somebody else will be dictating. Fine? So if you want to be completely autonomous, your idea should be self-sufficiency. Is self-sufficiency a good principle? Yes, of course. You need to be self-sufficient in food security. Okay? So self-sufficiency is itself a determinant of power. Is USA self-sufficient? So any state should, what is the idea of a state? A state should move towards what? Becoming self-sufficient. Because when you are self-sufficient, then only you can exercise sovereignty. Is sovereignty a feature of a state?
Yes.
But if you are not self-sufficient, you are dependent on the aid of some other country, you cannot exercise sovereignty. Fine? So, idea of a state, the philosophy of a state, where any country should move to gain self-sufficiency. Fine? Now you write, a state is a evolving concept. Comma. The nature of the state is changing. So since we are studying Western political theory, we have to see the evolution of the state in the Western world. Fine? You can write evolution of the state in the Western world. Again, you just write what is a state? How to understand a state? Yeah, how to understand a state? Right, a system of governance. Underline to governance. Whom do you govern? People, right? A system of organizing people. So that they can live in peace. Why do you need somebody to organize? Can man not live on its own in peace? No. If you know, you need some authority. So state is an authority to organize us, otherwise we will quarrel. Otherwise there will be no peace in society. So existence of the society requires the existence of the state. Fine, you have understood this? But the types of states have been changing. Fine? Now let us see which type of states there have been in Europe. What is the present form of a state? So, a state as an idea you have understood. Organizing principle, an institution to organize people. For that institution, in order to organize people, will have power to make law, will have power to punish those who do not obey the law. This is what is sovereignty also. Right? Here also you write, right? Thus a state has two distinguishing features. Power to make laws, power to punish, those who do not obey the law. Is BCCI a state? No. For right to information, it will come under the definition of public authority, but otherwise, so far no. And though it performs the functions of public nature, but it is desirable that it should be made a declared state under Article 12. Fine? So anyway, a state that attribute its power to make law and punish. The nature of the state has been changing, and let us see the nature of the state in the Western world. Right? The history of the Western world, when we talk about the history of the Western world, we can talk about the Western Europe. Western Europe and North America is a Western world, but America is a very new country. It doesn't have a history. Since Americans do not have history, they are futuristic. And since we have such a long history, we are always looking towards the past. Right? So Americans do not have past. They always look in the future, they look in space. Sometimes, but in India, China, one of the oldest civilizations. So even the institutions of ancient time, like caste system, still exist. So in present, in 21st century also, we are living like later very ages. So Western Europe. The history of Western Europe can be categorized into 4 phases: ancient, medieval, modern, and the present age is postmodern. Now, every age has its dominant way of thinking. Right? So, ancient Greece, reason. People adopted the institutions, way of life on the basis of reason. Right? What is the dominating characteristic of medieval time? Religion. Known as what type of ages? Dark ages. Okay? So medieval, because religion is not based on reason, religion is based on faith, opposite to reason. We give so much importance to religion, but the Western world, they call it as Dark Ages. Modern age, science, Renaissance. Renaissance is rebirth. Rebirth of what? Reason. Wisdom. Reason. Okay? So again, rebirth of reason, but scientific. Science, age of science. for the age of philosophy. When I say making India a modern society, what do you mean by that? Promotion of science. Reason. India should develop scientific temper. Is one of the fundamental duties. Right? So making India a modern society. Was Nehru a modernist? Gandhi? He was traditionalist. Right? You can call it as conservative also. Post-modern, present time. So present time, people are now realizing the excesses of science, from nuclear war to environmental degradation. Right? Now the solution lies again either in religion or in philosophy. So the Western world moved towards philosophy. So again, the age of philosophy. So we are living in an age where science has gone out of fashion, right? And humanities and philosophy, they are in. Science is now out. There was a time when science was in. Fine? So this is the broad thinking of the time. Right? Now in ancient times, the beginning of the Western civilization is in ancient Greece. From Greece to Rome. Then Britain and other are France, Germany. And post-modern thinking. The main place for post-modern thinking is France, continental Europe. Postmodernism is a French philosophy. Right? Now, when it was ancient Greece, which type of political organization? You have heard about city-states? There used to be city-states. Roman Empire, during the medieval time, city-states gave way to Roman Empire. Breakdown of Roman Empire led to the rise of nation states. Fine. Nation states led to First World War, Second World War. What attempt was made in Europe to avoid wars? European Union. Rise of supranational entity, a regional organization, or European. Is European Union, you understand sovereignty? What is sovereignty? Supreme power to make law. So, sovereignty lies with whom? State. Okay. But in European Union, the states have transferred their sovereignty. Yes. some areas, let's say currency, fine. So the concept of pooled sovereignty, fine. So the concept of sovereignty also changes. So there is nothing sacred about nation state also. It has been a evolving or historical institution which emerged in the modern age. Have you understood this? Fine. So now let us see what is city-state. What were city-states? Initially, there was no concept of nation state. Right? Thus, the nation state of Greece, which is now a nation state, was nothing more than a geographical expression or a civilization. Civilization. India was what? Nation state before the coming of British. Civilization. China, India, they have been civilizational states. Okay? Nation state, territory is a very important concept. Right? So, who made India a nation state? British. It is the British that formed the territory. McMahon line is actually whose line? British made it. It's an imperial line, colonial line. Can we claim absolutely it is Indian territory? No. Can we absolutely claim Upsc? Was there any territory? It was all made by the British. Is China entirely wrong? India entirely correct on boundary dispute? These are disputed territories. China thinks it is there, India thinks it is ours. Fine? There was no concept of territorial states in the Eastern world. Territorial state is a concept of the Western world. Fine? So, Greece was a civilization or a geographical space. It was not a nation state. Fine? Right? In Greece, there used to be different states. Different city-states like Athens, Sparta, right? These cities were the states. Underline this. Cities were the states.
काम चोरी से बाज नहीं आता काम करवा
When
के
you say cities were the states, I say cities were states.
They were the authority.
Sovereignty. Yes. So state means self-sufficient entity. Right? So they can exist on their own. They will have their own sovereignty, autonomy, no need to be dependent. Right? So when cities were, a state means cities were made the unit of state. Who will be treated as a state? City, not village. Okay, so different villages and one city state. Fine. So a city was made complete state. Is a state under any authority? No. A state will be independent. So city states were independent entities. Now understood city state? Write it down. Right. Cities were made, the cities were considered as the state or independent entities. Now suppose this is Greece, there are Athens, Sparta and other city-states, and this is Athens, this is Sparta. This itself is a complete state, self-sufficient. Will there be any centralized authority? No. So which type of way of life? Decentralized or centralized? Decentralized. So city-state was a decentralized way of political life. Right? City-state was a decentralized system. Actually, decentralization. Suppose in India, we empower municipalities. We make municipalities self-sufficient, fine? Not dependent on state government, not dependent on union government. Then will you call it as the city-state? Yes. This is what is an idea. Democratic decentralization. Okay? So don't take it literally. Try to capture the essence. The essence of the experiment of city-state is democratic decentralization. Should we go for democratic decentralization? Yes. We have to make panchayats. We have to make cities, municipalities as a self-sufficient entities. Fine. What Gandhi talked about? Self-sufficient villages, village republics, self-sufficient villages. Was these villages dependent on the center? No. According to Gandhi, no. They should be made self-sufficient entities. Have you understood? Now you can practically link. Is it possible? Yes? Fine. So self-sufficient entity, this is an idea. Decentralization of power. Have you understood city-state concept? Fine. So India used to have village republics. India had a very decentralized system of administration. Only on rare occasions, let's say Mauryans and Guptas, centralization happened. But that was also very nominal. Of course, under Mauryas it may be strong, but otherwise, such a vast country, so decentralization is a necessity. Fine. So in India, which institution in ancient India, which institution was a state? Write this question. King can give me an answer. In ancient India, which institution was a state for practical purposes? You were under whose law? Panchayats? Which panchayat? Caste panchayats. Panchayats. Panchayats is an answer. Which panchayat? Caste panchayat. What was a state in India? Caste. So what was a state in ancient India? Caste. You were under whose law? Rule of your caste, rule of your varna. You were punished not following which rules? Rule of your varna. Who was to decide? The Kap Panchayat. Fine. So the modern panchayats are very different idea. Our original idea is what? Panchayats. And in India, the governing units were caste. So we used to have caste republics. Village is actually caste. Every village has its own, every caste has its own village. Okay. So the people, their concern was with the rules of their caste. And they were supposed to observe. And they were supposed to be punished. They were supposed to be outcast. They were boycotted if they do not follow the norms. So, in essence, try to understand things practically. Fine? So that is why even present, caste system has ended? No. So caste will continue to play the role in Indian politics because caste is the very fundamental institution around which the way of life is organized in India. You may not be as fearful of the laws of Indian state as fearful of the laws of your caste. Okay? So still there are honor killings in the very NCR region where Supreme Court exists, your Parliament exists, but can you stop it? No, because caste is the part and parcel of Indian mindset, identity. So India is what? A civilization which has enormous continuity. Fine? It has a system of organizing. What was actually a caste? It was a system of organizing people. It was a type of a pattern of authority that was adopted in ancient India and continuing in modern India. Have you understood this? Fine? Yes? People, culture, your tradition, it is common sense, common law. वही है culture, norms, ethics, our history. Fine? So basically, in Greece, cities were the units. In India, the caste were the humans. Right? So basically, what was caste? Our life was governed by caste. Even today, governed by caste. Right? So, as a social scientist, when you define caste, you don't define in terms of religion and all. Caste was a system to govern. Do we have parties based on caste? Every regional party or national party is a party of a particular caste. When you vote for a party, you vote for a caste. Okay? So Indians don't cast their vote. Cast their caste. So Indian culture here, Indian tradition है caste. What was linguistic states? Was it for the language? No. What is underlying the linguistic reorganization? Caste politics. Because linguistic state, don't write all these things. Linguistic states.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask that caste politics. I mean, you talk about caste in ancient India, but weren't kings there in ancient India, like as a state? They were the ones who made the laws and enforced the laws. So.
But that was too general and very nominal. Right? Because the system was governed by Brahminism as an ideology. Our life was governed by Varna system. Okay? So that centralized authority and king was not so important. Our ways of life, what we can do, what we cannot do, what profession, whom we can marry, cannot marry. King was also, what was the purpose of the king? Purpose of the king was to uphold dharma. And in Indian context, dharma means dharma of your word. Word dharma. King's duty was to ensure that every varna follow its dharma. Otherwise, it will be arajakta and adharma. King, dand and dharma. These two things. King was given dand, and main function of king was this: that different varnas follow their varna dharma. Right? So Indian way of administration was very different than the West. Right? And understand things practically, not theoretically or just you use the term state, but who is the state? Who has power? Fine. So there are parallel governments in India in many regions. Okay. So they are state there. Raja Bhaiya is a state. He has his own parallel government. There are so many Raja Bhaiyas in so many places. Have you understood this? So it's very different what is there in the book and what is there in practice. Practice, state means power. Who has power, it is that person will rule. Right? So now you have understood city, state. Right? So yeah. कोई बात नहीं तो माइक दो कास्ट रिपब्लिक विलेज रिपब्लिक कॉन्सेप्ट है
इन मॉडर्न टाइम्स जैसे अभी इंडिया में इज इट अ गुड कॉन्सेप्ट कास्ट रिपब्लिक
नो गुड बट इट इज नॉट बट इट इज देयर you are talking about it should be, it should not be there, but it is there.
डेमोक्रेटिक डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन कैसे होगा?
Democratic decentralization of Gandhi and Constitution of India is different. That is what you cannot achieve what you want only by bringing a new constitution. You have to change the society. Fine, you have to change. Just because constitution says there is a gender equality does not mean there will be a gender equality. You have to change the patriarchal value system. What Ambedkar said, democracy is only the topsoil. Fine? So until unless the basic soil does not change, nothing will change. It will take time. Yeah.
You said
What?
म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशंस को एम्पावर करना चाहिए,
हाँ तो वो
विलेज पंचायत को एम्पावर करना चाहिए.
विलेज पंचायत तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल है, अब पंचायत सोशल है.
कैन वी एम्पावर खाप पंचायत?
अब पंचायत, yes. Supreme Court itself has not said that they are bad. These are institutions of civil society. Fine. So you can utilize the institutions of civil society for alternative dispute redressal system. You have to understand what exactly is a Khap Panchayat, the institutions of civil society. But any institution cannot be allowed to impose the laws which are against the constitution. Fine? You need civil society institutions. You need voluntary associations. You need alternative dispute redressal. Fine? So it's not that you eliminate Khap Panchayats, but Khap Panchayat or any Panchayat, you cannot allow them to do the things which is not constitutional.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
In democratic decentralization, we give power to the smaller units, but then overall, if we see, everybody is governed by the central power, so we can say it is centralized or.
Yeah, we do not have decentralization. In India, we do not have. India is a very centralized federation. Gandhi wanted decentralization. Fine. So now, let us, I hope you have understood city-state. So now let us see medieval Europe, like medieval Europe. Right? Ambitious kings tried to create their empires, and thus city-states came to an end. And a confederation or a sort of confederation, that is Roman Empire, came into existence. Roman Empire. Yeah. City-states came to an end. A sort of confederation came into existence. This confederation is called as Roman Empire. Now underline the word confederation. Okay. Right. What does confederation denotes? You must have done in GS confederation. There is some center in confederation? Yes or no? But center is weak or strong? Weak. Right? So right, confederation is extremely loose federation. Right? Center exists, but has nominal authority. So different regions in Europe came under Roman Empire. Leave Roman Empire, you must be knowing about Ottoman Empire. Okay? So Eastern Europe was under Ottoman Empire. Fine? The different nationalities were living under these empires. Fine? Now write, what was the unique feature of Roman Empire? Unique feature of Roman Empire. Right? There were two centers of authority. Two centers of authority. King and Pope. State and church. This is called as theory of two swords. There were two swords. Either the sword of the king or sword of the pope. Whose sword will be supreme? How come you knew? Political scholars still do not understand. Okay. And there was a huge fight between the kings and the popes, resulting into 30 years of war in Europe. And after that, after 30 years of war in Europe, which ended in 1648 by Treaty of Westphalia. It was decided that ultimate authority lies with the state. Ultimate powers with the state. Ultimate authority means supreme authority. Yes? Any term you can give for supreme authority? Sovereignty. Okay. So theory of two swords. Who was sovereign? This was not clear in the medieval times. Fine? It was clear in modern times that a state is sovereign. A state is supreme authority. So actually, it is the church under the state. Church is under the state. Is this a definition of secularism? Yes or no? Yes. So secularism is a concept of modern Europe which subordinates church under the state. Yes, you had a question? Use the mic.
Can unification of Italy and Germany be also called as end of city-states and a rise of confederation?
No. Italy and Germany, by that time there were no city-states. It was a feudal system. So end of feudalism and rise of nation-state, not city-states. You understood this thing? Yeah. This is a secular. Huh? Before modern times, means medieval times, no? So king was saying, I am supreme, but Pope was saying, my law will prevail. Now Sabrimala Trust versus Supreme Court. Court is saying, I am supreme, my whatever court has proposed, that will prevail. They are saying, no, we will supreme, this is a religious matter. Fine. So it is obvious that there was a conflict of authority. Conflict of authority is a confusing situation. You cannot let it prevail. This will create anarchy. So you have to end this conflict and you have to settle the things. And how the role of church came in the West. So as Roman Empire, it started growing bigger and bigger. Now it got divided, east and west. This was the center was Rome, west. In east, Constantinople was down. Okay, later on became the center of Ottoman Empire. Fine. So now, which king is having a authority over this or this? To resolve this, church enters. This is how the role of church came. Two kings are fighting, who will supreme? So you go to the third party, church. So church gradually increased its role and became authority in itself. Fine. So now the conflict has started between the king and the church. Fine. And in Ottoman Empire, the king itself became the religious head, the caliph. Okay. But in Western, it remained divided. So there was a division. There was a conflict. So the theory of, you have written, this was ended by Treaty of Westphalia. Now you write, what is the significance of Treaty of Westphalia? It led to the recognition of nation states. Nation states. Okay. Which were the earliest form of state? Now, nation states. How you write about what are nation states? Right, the feature of modern times. Right, nation states have fixed territory. It's a territorial concept. Next, a centralized authority. Underline centralized authority. What does it show? Right, earlier the authority was divided. between the church and the state. Right? This dispute was ended. And it was established that all powers will be centralized in the hands of the state. Right? Full stop. Church is under the state. Right? Thus, the state was made supreme. Right? Since the state was made supreme, state became sovereign. Which is the essential characteristic of a nation state? Sovereignty. Origin of sovereignty from the historical disputes between the church and the state. Okay? So now you have written that nation was made the unit of the state. No? Nation state की definition में ऐसे कुछ लिखा है? Right. Now the nation was made the unit of the state. Underline the word nation. What is nation? Not, you have not understood this line. Okay. So now nation was made the unit of the state. So before understanding this line, you should understand what is nation. You know what is nation? You belong to which nation? You belong to Indian nation state or Indian nation? Is there any difference in nation and nation state? Nation is psychological. Germans nation? No. Germans are nation according to Hitler. Nationality नहीं nation. Jews. Jews are nation. Tamils. Tamils are nation. Telugu. Nation. French. French are not nations. Bengalis. Kurds are nations. No. Muslims. Nation. क्या दो हाँ ये क्या कैसे बना रहे हो? You have some point? Yes, no. Hindus. Hindus are not nation. Hindus are not nation. There's nothing called Hindu Rashtra. Hindus are not nation. Ask your prime minister. These are all nations. Fine. That means what? What is a nation? Is India a nation or nation of nations? So, French nation, France is a nation, state. Jews nation, Israel is a when the territory gets combined with the nation. Jews plus fixed territory, nation having their own state, nation, state. What Tamils in Sri Lanka were doing? Having their own state, Tamil state. Now nation state. Then what is a state? A state is an authority. Okay. Then earlier the basis of authority was city. Now you said that the basis of authority will be nation. Okay. So all people belonging to one nation may form one state. The principle of national self-determination accepted in international law. Have you understood this? Fine. So, what is the basis of European nationalism? French is what? Language. German. Language. Jews. Religion. Tamil. Telugu. Bengali. Muslims. Hindus. Or you can say culture. So nation. What is nation? Now can you tell me nation? What is the best way to describe nation? Set of people. But what is common in them? Language, ethnicity. Nation can be best understood through the Urdu word of. Nation is a qawm. Qawm is a community. Nation is a community. Community is extended kinship group. Some blood relations. Does Hindu and Muslims form one nation? Do they intermarry? Is there some common blood? No. There is no intertwining. No intermarriage. Intermarriage will become what? Love jihad. Honor killing. Do they form one nation or two nations? Two nations, not one nation. Again, upper caste Hindus and Dalits, untouchables, they form one nation?
No.
No. Again, honor killing. Is that clear? So nation क्या है? Ethnicity. Ethnicity मतलब base. The term nation comes from the Latin word nasi. Nasi means race. For a particular race, a particular nation. You are born in a nation. You don't make nation. Fine? It's not a matter of choice. It is God's choice. Fine? Now you understood? So in Europe, nationalities or nations, different linguistic groups, they have been given their own nations. Nation is clear. Right? You know your own nation. What is your nation? India is your nation? Or India is your nation in making? India is your nation in making. Till that time, till that nation is made, you are from which nation? Hindu. Yeah, that you can say I am from Hindu, I am Muslim, I am Bengali, I am Tamil. Right? So that is a reality. Huh? There is no city state. We are caste based, community based society as of now. So nation you have understood. So India is a nation of nations. At what level we have applied the concept, the European concept of nation in India? Do you see similar concept of statehood in India? Persons speaking a particular language under a particular unit. नहीं, states can. महाराष्ट्र के सभी state, linguistic states, except Hindi heartland state. So in India, we do not have nation state. We have state, linguistic states. At the state level, separate state for Telugu speaking, separate state for Kannada speaking, Malayalam, separate state for Tamil, Gujarat, Marathi speaking. Right? It is also a state or not? Basis of statehood is nationality. Nation, state. Is nation state clear? A particular nation living in a particular territory. Form that nation state. What is Tamil Nadu? What is Nadu? Nadu is state or homeland? I don't know. Anybody from Tamil Nadu? Country. Country. What is Tamil Nadu? Country of Tamils. You have a country within a country. Fine. So, India as such, it is an experiment of nation in making. What is the basis to make India a nation? What will make India as a nation? One nation. Constitution. Constitution is called as cornerstone of the nation. Indian Constitution. So long you follow the Constitution, the idea of India as a nation will survive. That is why so many articles now coming on constitutional morality. And now you have understood the concept of nation state. Now you read the statement which you have not understood earlier. Nation was made the unit of the state. What is the basis of statehood in international law? Right to self-determination. What is the basis to recognize that? If you can establish you are a separate nation, if you are a separate community. Fine. What is the reason for many regions which want to be declared as a nation state. You see the genocide against minorities. Fine. So that you become exclusive and it is easy to be getting the recognition in international law of an international community of our state. Ethnic cleansing. There is a cleansing of Kashmiri Pandits from Kashmir. This will strengthen the case of Kashmir as a separate nation and thus the right of self-determination. Same is in all other regions also. Fine. Outside India, within India, the minority will be ousted. That will make you a homogeneous. You still see the language riots and all these things. Keep on happening. Right? So, nation in Europe under Roman Empire, it was like a big empire. French speaking, German speaking. So German speaking, they made one nation. Italian speaking made one nation. So nation was made the basis of state. Now it is clear. Okay. So you can just write one thing. Right. For example, Britishers challenged the demand for freedom on the ground that India was not a nation. It is nothing more than geographical expression. Right? Hence, the freedom movement was also the national movement. Gandhi had to establish that India is a nation. Freedom movement was also the national movement. India had to go for national movement, not just freedom movement. Some countries may have to go only freedom movement, not national movement. We have to discover ourselves as a nation. We have to make ourselves and establish ourselves as a nation. Fine? So, right, in international law, nations have been given the right to self-determination. That is, right to possess a state of their own. It's a modern nation state in Western Europe. You got to know, can you compare nation state and city state? So which is a bigger entity? Fine. Whenever there will be bigger entity, there will be some centralized authority. Fine? Yeah. State means power. State matlab authority. Nation कुछ नहीं है ना, nation state है, state important है. There can be nations without a state, like course. Fine. In इंटरनेशनल लॉ में तो स्टेट्स जिसके पास अथॉरिटी नहीं उसका क्या सिग्निफिकेंस है क्या? City state has its own authority, city administration. Central king or prince was situated in Athens. It was situated in Sparta. No king over the king of Sparta. Decentralized system. Now you write system of governance in present times. Right, in present times, in Europe we see the emergence of supranational governance. In the form of European Union. Nations have transferred their sovereignty to the supranational authority that is European Union in many spheres, including currency. Right, next paragraph. However, at present, there is again a shift from supranational to national. For example, Brexit. This Brexit, British exit, fusion will continue. There is nothing sacred about the state or nation. Its forms have been changing. Right now, maybe we don't remember what was city state. A time may come when we will not remember what was nation state. Fine? So there is nothing sacred about it, that if you go against nation, you are committing some guilt or something like sin. Fine? It's just a historical concept. We have understood Western political thought of ancient Greece will be about city-state, of modern will be nation-state, and postmodern will be of supranational state. Fine? Principal distance in India, equidistant. But secularism has many meanings. The origin of secularism is in the form of making church और state का separation. दूसरा, sovereignty. The theory of sovereignty, nationalism and secularism comes together. And you have to see the historical context of the origin of these concepts. Fine? So now let us start with the thoughts of Plato. But they are sovereign with respect to the subjects in the state list. स्टेट लिस्ट में जो सब्जेक्ट्स कर रहे हैं सब अरे इंडिया में तो कुछ चीज सही नहीं है तो इंडिया से कुछ नहीं समझो, किसी और ही देश से समझो, ठीक है? यस, यहाँ पे माइंड करो। Anyway, you try it. Art? Nation is nothing. Nation is set of people. No. Then they become states. Sovereignty is not a characteristic of people. Sovereignty is a characteristic of a state. National self-determination. International community will recognize. At the time of First World War happened because certain communities, certain groups in Ottoman Empire, like Serbians, they were trying to have their own states. In this context, Woodrow Wilson, the president of USA, gave that the nationalities have their right of self-determination. So you can create an independent state if group of people can establish themselves as a nation. And sovereignty is a feature of a state, not a state. Yeah.
Ma'am, I actually had two doubts. One, you were talking about it, what was the caste basis of linguistic states? You did not elaborate on that. Second question was whether gender can be a kind of basis for nation states. Like, can we say that gender can become?
As of now, so I don't know.
Is it possible, like conceptually?
What?
Conceptually.
Conceptually, yes, you can have a state of women, you can have a state of... Conceptually, yes, why not? And bilinguistic states, that will come in Indian politics, but see, there is one concept, I don't know whether you have done in GS, dominant caste, you know. Every region in India is still, in every region, certain castes rule. These castes are called dominant castes. What makes them dominant caste? Land ownership and their numerical strength. So when it was Madras state, fine. Now out of Madras emerged Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, then linguistic basis, there was a formation of Maharashtra and Gujarat, Haryana and Punjab. Fine. So, linguistic like Hindi and Tamil. If you see Andhra Pradesh history, either Reddy will be a chief minister or Tamas. Right? PDP is parties of Tamas, Congress, party of states. Now when they will be in Madras, it will not be possible for them to have a government of their own. Fine? So same is in case of Karnataka. Same is in case of Maharashtra. Fine? So Marathas will become the dominant caste. So it's very rare that the Brahminic party CP or Shiv Sena will come to power. Most of the time, Maratha party, Congress or NCP will be in power. Fine. So every party is a party of a particular caste. Now you have understood? They only talked about language, but language was never the real intention. Fine. So in politics, you do not talk directly. Something is told, like language, but you should understand caste. So in politics, what is to be read? Read between the lines. Okay? Don't understand what is said, what is spoken. Understand what is not spoken. There is one thinker, Hannah Arendt. What she says? We speak not to reveal, but to hide. So it is a paradox. God has given us a speech to reveal, but most of the time we speak so that we hide what is going on in our mind. Is it the reality? Yes. Fine. So speech is different from what we think. This is political analysis. Fine. So it's not, basically you should not study or you should not listen what a person is saying. You should observe his body language. Okay. So body language will reveal what is going on in his mind. When you become an ambassador, you may not know what the Chinese are speaking. Okay, so you will be trained, but try to understand their body language, otherwise you will be foolish. Not understanding body language and believing what Chinese are saying. ठीक है? तो body language समझना बड़ा important है. See the body language of Trump. ट्रम्प कुछ गले लग रहा था मोदी जी के, मोदी लगते जा रहे, समझ नहीं आ रहा. He doesn't want to be pushed off. So what he may be saying is different. Maybe politics. What is political analysis? Understanding what is the intention. Fine? Yes. Common agenda नहीं, common religion, common language. Aspiration कोई relevance नहीं. एक realistic view है और एक idealistic view है. Realistic is common language, language, religion. Will a people from Tamil Nadu will include Telugus in their nation? No, despite belonging to one nation. Because when you cannot speak each other's language, you don't understand what other is saying. So will Hindus include Muslims in their nation? Muslims and Hindus? Few things are not possible. Okay? So that is a realistic approach. Jinnah was realist. Gandhi was idealist. He was talking on what should be. Again, Nehru was idealist. Unity in diversity. That is why he opposed linguistic states. But that's not practically feasible. Fine? So politics, when you study politics, you will not study ethics. Okay? What is rather than what should be. यही तो difference है ethics and politics. Right? In politics, you will study many things which you do not like to hear or used to hear, but that may be facts. So now you write about Plato. Capital letter and small letter will not make any difference. Okay, it is a country, right? Capital letter. Separate state means you cannot go out of the country. So, international law is giving you right of self-recognition, determination. Rajesh? Yeah. No country would give this permission. But जैसे Kosovo है, Kosovo has been liberated. Fine. So in international law or in real life, law does not carry any meaning. It is the power. Okay? So try to become powerful. That is important, not just. Justice has no meaning. Justice is discourse. Power is a fact. It is survival of the fittest. Yes?
Ma'am, can we say that India is an example of supranational?
Yes. So when you see India, you should compare India with EU, not with France. You want to compare France with Gujarat or Maharashtra or any state. So it will apply the principle of France at the subcontinental size quality. Then it will become problematic. Fine? Any other question? No? So, just write an introduction of Plato then.
Ma'am,
Yeah?
can you hear me?
Yes?
Ma'am, I just had this doubt that the conclusion we have written that in present time, the nations are moving towards a supranational authority. Don't you think that it has always been a failure in European
No, we
Union?
said no, it is moving away.
I mean, in 25 years, European Union wasn't even able to form a constitution. So don't you think that?
But they have their own currency. You have to see their achievements also. No? You cannot just see what they have not achieved. But no other region could achieve, and every country is not leaving Europe. EU.
Yeah.
Britain, so far only Britain is leaving.
No international authority has so far done so much that we can say that we are moving towards a supranational authority. It might have been a frictional direction,
No,
but
EU is an example, ASEAN is an example, African Union is also developing, supranational authority is developing, except in South Asia and Middle East, it is that authorities are developing. So I think now we will have to do later. And now for 1 week we'll have to do alternate class actually. I still have to finish the previous part. So we'll come day after tomorrow. Fine? Then we will start with Plato, preferably see the previous year questions.